So, super productivity. So I want to start out and ask you, what is your definition of productivity? Just shout it out. Getting things done. I think that's a shitty definition. It's closer. Right. Well, you might have a different definition by the time we're done. Getting things done. That's what we think of. That's part of the problem. When you say you want to be more productive, here's what I really think you want. You tell me if you agree. I think first and foremost, most of you want to alleviate a guilt you feel of not doing enough in one or more areas of your life and business. Is that true? You feel guilty. You know you should be working out more, you should be eating better, you should be doing more marketing, you should be doing better customer service, you should be doing more training with your technicians so that they know how to serve your clients better. You should be doing things more efficiently and operations, and you should be working on that. So you're doing all those shoulds. As Tony Robbins says, you end up shooting all over yourself. All right? I also think that you want to feel like you're making faster progress or some progress in an area or a thing that you haven't been able to achieve so far. So there's that constant level of frustration. I call it's like a low-grade fever. There's this low-grade fever you have where it's guilt, it's frustration, and you constantly feel it. It's constantly present because you know you're not getting the results you want. See, I don't think it's a to-do. I don't think it's getting more done. I think it's getting more results. And that's what I want you to start thinking in terms of. Not in, did I get my to-do list done? Because you can get your entire to-do list done and still not get the results you want. Is that right? And that's part of the problem. You're thinking of, I want to get more done. I don't want to get more done. I want to get results done. And I want to do it in as short as time as possible. And I think you want to feel less overwhelmed. And if you feel, how many of you feel overwhelmed? I mean, everybody feels overwhelmed, right? It's a choice. So the reason you feel overwhelmed is simply because you're either not handling things in advance, so you're running around doing the whack-a-mole, right? Or you're giving everything in your life the same level of importance. So what do I mean by that? So that phone call that rings, or this small task that is, if you remember what Lips was saying yesterday, he says, it's a nice to have, not an absolute must. You've got to prioritize on what you need to get done, what results you need to focus on. You're giving those 8, 9s, and 10s, or the B's and C's on your list, the same amount of attention, focus, and effort as you're giving the A's. And it's because other people are putting those demands on you. You feel like you should do it for whatever reasons. And that's mainly because you're not clear on your outcomes. You're not clear on what you're trying to achieve. You haven't decided yet what's most important to you. And feeling overwhelmed is a choice. I want you guys to understand that. It is nothing more than an emotion. And I've done this exercise before, so play along. I know you know how it works, most of you. Just for a minute, think about everything you've learned at this conference over the last couple days. And I want you to think of your to-do list when you go back. Think about what is waiting for you when you go back already. Since you've been out of the office, there's things that you've got to get done, right? There's probably some customer service issues. There's some technical projects you need to work on. There's, of course, marketing that you're going to have to do. And then think of all the things you've learned. Think of all the different closing techniques you learned from Tom Hopkins. Think of all the things that you've learned from Nito Cobain that he talked about, the adjectives that you need to describe your business, and how are you going to find out how your customers describe you. And then think about what Patrick talked about, and talk about and the marketing campaigns I gave you with the cloud and the BDR. I mean, these are really good tools I gave you. And think of all those things you need to implement. Now think about the other things you have to get done in your personal life. Maybe there's gardening that needs to be done, the garage needs to be cleaned out, maybe there's a family vacation that's coming up and you've got a plan for that. Think of all those things. How do you feel right now?
Wonderful.
Crap, it's like terrible, all right? Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Now, forget all that. In your mind, it's like a dry erase board, and I want you to erase it all. And I want you to think of one result that you really want to achieve. Now, if it's a financial result, I want you to picture going into your bank account and seeing the money there, the numbers there, knowing you have it. If it's getting out of debt, you imagine yourself actually having zero debt and maybe a full year's salary that you could live off in the bank as a cushion. I want you to think about a result that you really want. Maybe it's losing weight. Maybe you picture yourselves with abs, six-pack. And not the drawn-on kind, but the real kind, right? So think about that result. Really think about it. Make it brighter. Make it come to life. What would it feel like to get that result? You know you've got it done. Now, how does that feel? Feels a lot better. So, overwhelm is a choice. You are choosing to feel overwhelmed because you choose to focus on your to-do list rather than focus on the outcomes you're going after. I just gave you one of the most profound things I know about getting more done. Because if your life is about getting your to-do list done, you could live an entire life being busier than ever, going crazy, and still not feeling fulfilled. Still not having the physical and emotional and material things in your life that you want. You've got to know, first off, what do you want and what are those outcomes? And be outcome focused.